Welcome to Busy Brain Club, where thinking is free and we should do more of it. In this video, we're going to discuss this article. The title of the article is Wall Street's Top Cop is Determined to Bring Crypto to Heel. He just took a big shot. Now, despite however you might feel about Gary Gensler, he's the top cop, there is some details about the cryptocurrency industry that most people are not aware of. And so because of those issues, they group everything into a single bucket and they're missing the point. It is the reason why the SEC and the CFTC are both trying to figure out who gets to regulate the industry. Let's read this article. Since Gary Gensler became Wall Street's top cop 2 years ago, his message to cryptocurrency companies has been consistent. He would do all it takes to tame a world he likens to the Wild West. This week, he delivered on that threat big time. The Securities and Exchange Commission unveiled a barrage of charges against two of the world's largest crypto exchanges, Coinbase and Binance, kicking off a legal battle that will help define the future of cryptocurrencies. Here's what to know about the fight and why it's so important. What are these two cases about? They stand to answer a critical question. Who gets to police cryptocurrencies? Although Binance and Coinbase may not be household names, they are well known in the world of crypto. Billions of dollars worth of digital assets change hands on these platforms every day, and they have customers all over the world. Yet, crypto, since its beginning, has existed in a regulatory gray area. After all, most of the current finance rules were set before cryptocurrencies came into being. A turf war continues between the SEC and another federal regulator, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, over which agency has the power to oversee these assets and the broader sector. Gensler believes most cryptocurrencies are securities, and as such, current laws give his agency the power to regulate them and the sites and apps on which they are bought and sold. Now, my insight into this is Gary Gensler is correct in his belief that most of cryptocurrencies are securities. What is hidden from the public is the creators of these cryptocurrencies use marketing techniques to say things like it is decentralized. They use the talking points that Bitcoiners use to make it seem as if they have no control over the project in itself, and they are just spectators after the creation, when in fact, having issued pre-mined coins similar to special shares in an ICO, what they call an initial coin offering, similar to a company's IPO, initial public offering. These companies have been operating like securities under the guise that they are cryptocurrencies, when in fact they're just basically companies making cryptocurrencies. Let's continue reading. Coinbase and Binance are both being accused of failing to register their exchanges with the SEC. Now, we have read in several articles and we have seen that Coinbase accuses the SEC of being heavy-handed because they have been trying to comply. But this is how the cookie is made. Coinbase and Binance are well aware that the coins that exist on their platforms are mostly securities. Bitcoin and a few other cryptocurrencies are not, but because they are labeled as cryptocurrencies in total, and the public, via a lack of education, cannot identify one from the other, because most people don't read. So they rely on the creators and the marketing team of all these different cryptocurrencies to decide where they should put their money. When in actual fact, these people are operating companies and have found a way to disguise their operation in the form of coins people could buy into with the expectation of a return. Anyways, let's continue. That's something that cryptocurrencies have fought tooth and nail. By design, crypto is supposed to operate outside the traditional financial system. Now I'm going to put up a graphic by Adam Back to explain what these cryptocurrencies are these crypto companies are trying to fool the public into believing. What many cryptocurrencies want are new rules of the road that are crypto specific. If the SEC prevails in the courts, it will potentially force cryptocurrencies, crypto companies, to register with the SEC, which would be a sea change. I think these cases will be fundamental to the shape of crypto regulation, says Timothy Massad, who is the former chairman of the CFTC. So what's happening now? In many ways, this is an existential fight for these companies. Yes, it is, and yes, it should be, because they're all crooks. Binance perhaps faces the most serious allegation. Yes, they do, because they're commingling and doing extra stuff, kind of like FTX. Binance perhaps faces the most serious allegations, including that the exchange and its CEO, Zhangpeng Zhao, I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name properly, misled investors about the exchange ability to detect market manipulation. And uh, I'll put up another slide of uh, some market manipulation on the Binance exchange, and it's misused the customer funds. Meanwhile, Stephen Glaglola, I hope I pronounced his name, man. Meanwhile, Stephen Glaglo, Mr. Glag, an analyst at TD Cowen who covers Coinbase, which is a publicly traded company, says Coinbase could emerge from this fight a materially different business versus today. Both of these companies have resolved to fight the charges against them, and they're preparing for the long haul. We are operating as business as usual, says Paul Grewal, Coinbase chief legal officer. These cases sometimes aren't resolved, not only for many months, but many years. The longer this drags out, the more money you're going to lose. No, that's not what it says. It says the longer this drags out, the more it could color how crypto investors see these two companies. And indeed, in the days since these lawsuits were announced, there have been significant outflows from Coinbase and Binance exchanges. This is going to affect people's attitude towards trading, and Coinbase is going to have to think about that, said Massad. Can it really afford to just fight this out, or does it have an incentive to try to come up with a settlement? I don't think there's a settlement that's going to satisfy this situation. Gary Gensler is basically telling Coinbase specifically. Binance is more a suit for some criminal activity. Coinbase a little bit more, but I think the basis on Coinbase's lawsuit is the idea that they're facilitating crooks, which is cryptocurrencies posing as currencies, but they are indeed companies financing themselves from the pockets of the public, which are actually securities and fall under the thumb of Gary Gensler and the SEC. So to resolve this, Coinbase should literally delist all of these coins immediately. It might still not resolve the whole lawsuit, because once they are found guilty, it's fines and a whole bunch of things that are gonna come down the pipeline. But I want people to understand something, and this is a full disclosure. I'm a hardcore Bitcoiner, and there's a reason why I'm a hardcore Bitcoiner. I understand the difference between the coins, and it doesn't take me very long to analyze a coin, its operations, and I could tell you if it's a security. You don't need a degree to figure it out. The gray area, there is no gray area. There are some coins like Bitcoin that would necessarily be governed under the CFTC. But the nature of Bitcoin is you cannot control it. No one can, because it exists in what they call the Immaculate Conception. The only thing you could do with Bitcoin is choose whether to participate or not. The core software is intact since birth. The monetary policy is fixed. It doesn't change. Whenever you hear people talk about upgrades to Bitcoin, the core principles of Bitcoin remain the same. They're just adding features to enhance its capabilities. And it is one of the reasons why both the CFTC and the FTC are going to have a hard time trying to figure this one out. And I think that is why you don't see Bitcoin or Bitcoin specific companies mentioned in this lawsuit. If you have money in any of these crypto companies selling crypto coins, you might want to consider withdrawing your money altogether. Don't listen to the crypto YouTubers who say put your coin on a hardware wallet and don't leave it on the exchange. So you have your Cardano on a hardware wallet as if that is going to keep your money safe. It won't. You will hodl all the way to zero. Okay, let's continue. What this means for the crypto world? It's not just Coinbase and Binance. The lawsuits are also threatening to create a lot of uncertainty and further erode confidence in the entire sector. Coinbase and Binance join a list of crypto companies against which the SEC has taken action, including Kraken, Genesis, and Gemini. But Coinbase and Binance don't just run exchanges, they also operate as brokerages and clearing agencies. This is something you don't see in traditional finance, and it's a model of which Gensler is skeptical. In crypto, sentiment is critical, and the industry has had a rough ride since last year with the collapse of FTX. Its now former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried faces civil charges from the SEC and the CFTC, and the Justice Department has also brought criminal charges against him. The spectacular collapse of FTX ushered in a so-called crypto winter that has yet to dissipate. I think that sentiment will likely continue to be somewhat negative around crypto, Mr. Glag argues, noting volumes, the amounts of crypto being traded have declined since FTX collapse, and they continue to deteriorate, as they should. This is an industry that I think can be categorized by a lack of transparency. It's not just the courts that may help define the futures of cryptocurrencies. Coinbase and other crypto companies, as well as the SEC, want Congress to get involved by passing laws for the sector, though action from lawmakers may take a while. It's gonna take a while. I am sorry, but action from lawmakers is going to take a long time. It took me a month to figure out what the hell Bitcoin is. I had to read several books, and once I understood what Bitcoin is, I understand what everything else is. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, have surged in popularity, although they are still nowhere near as widely held as stocks. Yeah, it's a slow grind to the top. Bitcoiners are patient individuals. At least some of them are. Everybody wants to be rich tomorrow, but that's not how this works, Bitcoiners. A recent research report estimates that 12% of the population owns crypto investments, a small fraction compared to how many households own stocks, for example. More transparency and confidence in the sector could ultimately bring more investment in cryptocurrencies eventually, but the road there is likely to be messy. This is the next part of the equation I want people to understand. Bitcoin was invented in 2008. 2009 it was launched, and it's invented to replace the middleman, the central bank, and any kind of banking system, right? It's the base layer of settling monetary transactions. Now, what does that mean? It means that there is no Federal Reserve in a Bitcoin ecosystem. The monetary policy is fixed, finite, and everybody knows it. So there's no tricks to be played about with interest rates, yield curves, or any of that foolishness in a Bitcoin world, which means there's no Jerome Powell and all that whole institutional that backs the whole US money printing press. No, the reason why Bitcoin has not been established for what it is, if there's any regulatory clarity as to where Bitcoin stands, money will flood into Bitcoin faster than any other asset class that exists, which includes gold. I guarantee it. And so the game that is being played is to, like the end of this article says, but the road there is likely to be messy, is to keep the cryptocurrency space messy on purpose, which cools the heads of institutional investors. We will not likely see any kind of lawmakers fix this problem over a period of time because the US especially might feel that Bitcoin is an existential risk to the country, which it's not. They just might feel that way. And so they will further keep this space unregulated. People keep losing money until the bigger plan they have in place comes to fruition, which is the central bank digital currency or something similar, perhaps pushed on the population through the traditional banking system. But, anyways, that is the read of this article. I hope it gives you some insights into the cryptocurrency space, and I'll see you in the next video.